Every time you respond emotionally, every time your anger flares, every time your ego jumps, you are giving someone else the steering wheel to your life. You are handing them power. You are handing them control. And that is weakness. Reaction is exposure. Exposure equals weakness. Control equals power. Repeat it. Burn it into your mind. This is not philosophy. This is survival. This is mastery. Look around. Most people live in reaction mode. They respond instantly to words. They respond instantly to tone. They respond instantly to disrespect, criticism, and chaos. And every reaction costs them power. Every reaction costs them clarity. Every reaction exposes their weakness. Think about arguments. Someone questions your work, challenges your decision, insults you in conversation. Your instinct is to defend, to justify, to react. That instinct is weakness, not strength. Reaction is exposure. Exposure equals weakness. Control equals power. It is not about proving them wrong. It is not about being right. It is about maintaining your authority over yourself. Your mind is the battlefield. You have a choice. That is the key. You do not need their permission to stay calm. You do not need approval to pause. Criticism is a perfect example. Someone questions your ideas. You feel your stomach tighten. You feel the urge to defend yourself. The undisciplined mind reacts. The disciplined mind observes. The undisciplined mind creates a narrative of attack. The disciplined mind analyzes information without ego. Reaction is exposure. Exposure equals weakness. Control equals power. Disrespect, the same. A snide remark, a dismissive tone, a colleague undermining your authority. Most people flinch. Most people escalate. Most people let emotion dictate the next words. But the calm mind waits, pauses, observes, and then acts deliberately. That is discipline. That is control. That is power. Social media is an even clearer example. Endless outrage. Endless posts designed to provoke. And yet, most people react instantly. Every notification triggers emotion. Every comment provokes judgment. And in that reaction, they lose clarity. They lose focus. They leak power. Reaction is exposure. Exposure equals weakness. Control equals power. Here is the principle you must internalize. If it does not require action, it does not require emotion. Read that again. Most things you react are not actionable. They are stimuli, noise, gossip, distraction. If it doesn't require action, it doesn't deserve emotion. That is the key. This is how you start mastering yourself. Step 1. Pause. Before you speak, before you text, before you respond, pause. Even 3 seconds gives you power. Step 2. Label the emotion. Name it. Anger, fear, ego. Naming weakens it. Step 3. Decide, don't react. Ask yourself, does reacting help me? Most of the time, it doesn't. Reaction is exposure. Exposure equals weakness. Control equals power. Observation is your tool. Observation buys time. Time buys clarity. Clarity buys power. You do not need to suppress emotion. You need to delay it. You need to observe it. You need to act deliberately. The undisciplined mind reacts. The disciplined mind observes. Repeat this. Reaction is exposure. Exposure equals weakness. Control equals power. Every time someone triggers you, remember this. Attachment to emotion is the leash they pull. Detachment from reaction cuts that leash. You remain calm. You remain unshakable. You remain in control. That is the ultimate weapon. Reaction is exposure. Exposure equals weakness. Control equals power. This is not a skill you learn once. This is a habit you repeat relentlessly. You will practice pausing. You will practice labeling. You will practice deciding instead of reacting. With repetition, calm becomes instinct. With calm, you regain authority over your environment. You have a choice. That is the key. You mastered the first step. Control over reaction. But control is not just about what you prevent. Control is about what you do next. Observation, not emotion, must guide action. Execution, not reaction, must guide results. You now understand the battlefield. You now see how reactions hand power away. You have begun the path to unshakable calm. And now, the next layer, understanding pressure itself. Because once you master reaction, you must learn to embrace discomfort, not run from it. Discomfort is not the enemy. It is the training ground. Most people run from it. Most people avoid it. Most people seek comfort, convenience, and ease, and they stay weak. You have a choice. That's the key. You can flee from discomfort, or you can face it. You can shrink under pressure, or you can grow through it. It's not about avoiding pain. It's about using pain as your teacher. The undisciplined mind reacts to discomfort with fear. The disciplined mind reacts with curiosity. The undisciplined mind procrastinates. The disciplined mind executes. The undisciplined mind complains. The disciplined mind observes, adapts, and acts. Look at every high performer you respect. Athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders, they thrive in discomfort. They expose themselves to situations most people avoid. Cold showers, early mornings, high-stakes presentations, physical strain, mental strain, emotional strain. They lean into it, because they know discomfort is the forge where strength is built. Avoiding discomfort guarantees stagnation. Leaning into it guarantees growth. Repeat this until it burns into your mind. Discomfort is training. Discomfort is progress. Embrace it. Real-world example. Public speaking. Most people tremble. Most people avoid it. Most people allow fear to dictate their choices. The result: missed opportunities. The result: weak influence. The result: regret. But the person who steps onto the stage despite fear, despite the racing heart, sweaty palms, and judgmental eyes, gains experience. Gains clarity. Gains authority. They build resilience. Discomfort teaches them that fear is information, not instruction. Another example. Physical challenge. People avoid exercise when it's hard, when muscles burn, when the lungs scream. They choose comfort. They choose temporary relief. Weakness compounds. Discipline suffers. The disciplined person moves anyway. They endure. They grow. They get stronger. They see results. That is the key. Growth lives in pressure. Growth lives in discomfort. Discomfort is also emotional. Conversations you avoid. Difficult truths you postpone. Conflict you refuse. The undisciplined mind flees. The disciplined mind faces it. Because every confrontation, every hard talk, every honest evaluation is an opportunity to train the mind. Each one teaches control. Each one teaches patience. Each one teaches calm. You have a choice. That is the key. Do you shrink, or do you rise? Discomfort is neutral. How you respond is what matters. You don't need permission to face it. You don't need courage granted by someone else. Courage is internal. Strength is internal. Discipline is internal. Here is what you must practice. Seek small discomfort daily. Cold shower. Tough conversation. Hard workout. Each one compounds mental toughness. Observe emotional reactions. When fear rises, label it. Name it. This is fear. This is stress. This is discomfort. Observation weakens the grip. Act despite resistance. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for readiness. Do the work anyway. Execution builds confidence. Confidence builds calm. Discomfort is a test. Reaction is exposure. Exposure equals weakness. Control equals power. Repeat it. Embed it. Live it. Remember this principle. The more you avoid discomfort, the more life pressures you unexpectedly. The more you embrace it, the more prepared you become for any challenge. Growth is not safe. Growth is not comfortable. Growth is uncomfortable, inconvenient, and relentless. And that is why few achieve it. Mental toughness is forged in fire, not comfort. Calm under pressure is learned in struggle, not ease. You must lean into what frightens you, what challenges you, what pushes you beyond routine. You have a choice. That is the key. Choose discomfort. Choose growth. Choose discipline. You mastered the first layer. Control over reaction. Now, you must learn how discipline, quiet, relentless discipline, ensures that you don't rely on fleeting motivation or emotional highs. Passion is loud. Discipline is silent. And silence wins. Most people wait to feel ready. They wait for motivation. They wait for excitement. They wait for the emotional high that makes action feel easy. That's why they fail. Passion is unreliable. Emotions fluctuate. Discipline does not. You have a choice. That's the key. You can let your emotions decide your actions, or you can decide your actions regardless of how you feel. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. Look at how people start. They're fired up, inspired, energetic, new goals, new plans. new promises, and then life applies pressure. Fatigue sets in, doubt creeps in, boredom arrives, passion fades, and so does progress. That's the pattern of the undisciplined mind. The disciplined mind moves anyway. Quiet discipline means doing the work when no one is watching, when no one is applauding, when there's no excitement, no validation, no emotional reward. You don't need their permission. You don't need praise. You don't need hype. You need consistency. That's the key. Real-world example. Fitness. Passion starts the workout. Discipline finishes it. Passion gets you to the gym once. Discipline keeps you going for years. The body doesn't change because you felt motivated. It changes because you showed up repeatedly. Boring days, hard days, low-energy days. Discipline carried you through. Another example. Career growth. People chase inspiration. They wait until they feel productive. Meanwhile, disciplined individuals build systems. They schedule. They execute. They finish tasks regardless of mood. Promotions don't go to the most passionate person. They go to the most consistent one. You have a choice. Passion makes promises. Discipline keeps them. Quiet discipline also protects your mind. When you rely on emotions, your mood controls your output. When you rely on discipline, your standards control your output. Standards don't care how you feel. Standards don't negotiate. Repeat this. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. Most people overestimate passion and underestimate structure. Discipline is structure. Discipline is routine. Discipline is boring. And boring works. Here's what quiet discipline looks like in practice. Set non-negotiables. Decide what gets done daily, regardless of mood. Reading, training, planning, execution. No debate. Remove emotional decision-making. You don't ask yourself if you feel like it. You act because it's scheduled. Lower emotional attachment. Don't hype the task. Don't dramatize it. Just execute. Calmly. Repeatedly. That's the key. Quiet discipline compounds. Passion burns out. Discipline builds momentum. One day at a time. One action at a time. No rush. No noise. You see this in relationships too. Passion creates intensity. Discipline creates stability. Discipline listens. Discipline shows up. Discipline stays calm under pressure. Emotional people escalate. Disciplined people regulate. An undisciplined mind seeks stimulation. A disciplined mind seeks results. Say it again. An undisciplined mind works against you. Discipline trains your nervous system. It teaches your body and mind that action is not dependent on feeling. Over time, calm replaces chaos. Control replaces impulse. Confidence replaces anxiety. You don't need to feel confident to act. Action creates confidence. You don't need to feel calm to begin. Discipline creates calm. You have a choice. That's the key. Most people want intensity. Few want consistency. Intensity feels powerful. Consistency is powerful. Quiet discipline is invisible at first. No applause. No recognition. But over time, results speak loudly. Calm speaks loudly. Control speaks loudly. This is how you become unshakable. Not through emotional highs. Through disciplined repetition. You don't need their permission. You don't need motivation. You don't need passion to save you. You need discipline to lead you. You've learned to control reactions. You've learned to embrace discomfort. Now you must learn how to remove emotional attachment altogether, so outcomes no longer control you. Most people suffer because they are attached to outcomes. They obsess over results they cannot fully control. They worry about timelines, reactions, approval, and success metrics. That attachment creates anxiety, and anxiety destroys clarity. You have a choice. That's the key. You can let outcomes control your emotions, or you can control your actions and let outcomes follow. Here is the truth. You do not control results. You control effort. You control preparation. You control discipline. It's not about the outcome. It's about execution. Attachment sounds harmless, but it's not. When you fixate on results, your mind lives in the future. Fear enters. Pressure increases. Performance drops. You rush. You hesitate. You second guess. That's how people sabotage themselves. Detachment does not mean you don't care. Detachment means you care enough to focus on what actually works. Look at high performers, athletes, leaders, professionals under pressure. They don't think about winning while executing. They think about form, timing, process, breath, repetition. That's the key. Real-world example. Goals. If you obsess over the finish line, every delay feels like failure. If you focus on daily actions, progress becomes inevitable. Another example. Relationships. Attachment creates neediness. Neediness creates emotional reactions. Detachment creates calm. Calm creates respect. You don't need their permission to stay grounded. You don't need reassurance to stay disciplined. Repeat this. Detach from results. Commit to discipline. When you detach, pressure disappears. When pressure disappears, performance improves. Most people think stress comes from hard work. It doesn't. Stress comes from emotional attachment to outcomes. An undisciplined mind wants guarantees. A disciplined mind wants consistency. Say it again. An undisciplined mind works against you. Here's how you practice detachment in real life. Shift your language. Stop saying, "I need this to work." Start saying, "I will execute today." Measure actions, not outcomes. Track hours worked, reps completed, systems followed, not applause received. Expect nothing. Execute everything. Expectation breeds disappointment. Execution builds confidence. That's the key. Detachment is emotional control in action. It prevents panic. It prevents overreaction. It prevents burnout. When results don't come immediately, undisciplined people spiral. Disciplined people adjust and continue. You have a choice. When you detach, you become dangerous, in a good way. You stop being manipulated by fear. You stop being distracted by impatience. You stop being controlled by external validation. It's not about anxiety. It's about discipline. It's not about fear. It's about focus. It's not about waiting. It's about working. Calm comes from knowing you did the work, regardless of the outcome. Confidence comes from repetition, regardless of applause. That's why detachment is power. You show up. You execute. You improve. You repeat. No drama. No emotional noise. No panic. This is how you stay calm under pressure. This is how you become unshakable. You've learned to stop reacting. You've learned to build quiet discipline. Now you must learn to control the most valuable asset you have. Your attention. Your attention is your life. Where it goes, your energy follows. Where your energy goes, your results follow. Most people never realize this. They think they lack motivation. They think they lack discipline. They think they lack talent. They don't. They lack control over their attention. You have a choice. That's the key. Every day, your attention is under attack. Notifications, messages, news, opinions, drama, noise. If you don't defend it, you lose it. And when you lose your attention, you lose control of your mind. An undisciplined mind reacts to whatever is loudest. A disciplined mind chooses what deserves focus. Say it clearly. It's not about intelligence. It's about attention. Look at social media, endless scrolling, comparison, outrage, validation seeking. People consume information all day and wonder why they feel anxious, unfocused, and exhausted. Their mind is fragmented, pulled in 100 directions. Reaction replaces intention. That's weakness. You don't need to know everything. You don't need to respond to everything. You don't need to engage with everything. You don't need their permission to disengage. Real-world example. Work. People check emails constantly, switch tasks every few minutes, multitask, and then complain they can't focus. That's not a productivity problem. That's an attention problem. Deep work requires silence. Silence requires discipline. Another example. Emotions. When your attention stays on problems, problems grow. When your attention stays on solutions, clarity grows. That's the key. Your mind becomes what you repeatedly focus on. Fear grows with attention. Confidence grows with attention. Discipline grows with attention. Repeat this. Attention is energy. Energy creates reality. Here's how to take control of your attention. Eliminate unnecessary inputs. Reduce news, social media, and emotional noise. Less input means more clarity. Create focus windows. Decide blocks of time where nothing interrupts you. No phone. No distractions. Execution only. Direct attention deliberately. Choose one task, one goal, one action. Finish it. Simple. Not easy. Effective. That's the key. Most people train their bodies more than their attention. They work out for an hour but scroll for 5. They plan goals but consume distractions all day. An undisciplined mind craves stimulation. A disciplined mind values stillness. Stillness is where control lives. When you control your attention, you control your emotions. When you control your emotions, pressure loses its grip. When pressure loses its grip, calm becomes your default. It's not about focus hacks. It's about discipline. Say it again. It's not about distraction. It's about discipline. Attention control also means knowing what to ignore. Other people's opinions, other people's timelines, other people's drama. Most people live reactively because they consume reactively. They wake up and immediately give their attention away. You have a choice. Protecting your attention is an act of self-respect. It signals control. It builds confidence. It creates momentum. When you focus deeply, progress accelerates. When progress accelerates, motivation follows. That's how discipline creates motivation, not the other way around. Calm people are focused people. Focused people are powerful people. This is how you stay calm under pressure. This is how you stop being shaken by chaos. This is how you become unshakable. You now understand reactions. You understand discipline. You understand detachment. You understand attention. Now it's time to combine everything into one final principle, the one that separates those who survive pressure from those who dominate it. Most people think calm is a personality trait. They think some people are just born unshakable. They're wrong. Calm is a skill, and like any skill, it must be trained. You have a choice. That's the key. You can let your mind stay soft, reactive, and undisciplined. Or you can train it, daily, deliberately, relentlessly. Pressure does not create weakness. Pressure reveals it. When life applies force, your mind defaults to its level of training. If you never trained calm, you panic. If you never trained discipline, you quit. If you never trained control, you react. An undisciplined mind works against you. Warriors don't wait for calm. They build it. Mental training starts with exposure. You don't avoid stress. You introduce it in controlled ways. You practice staying composed when it's uncomfortable. You breathe when your body wants to rush. You slow down when your emotions want speed. That's the key. Real-world example. Difficult conversations. Most people avoid them. Warriors step into them calmly. They listen. They pause. They respond, not react. Another example. Pressure at work. Deadlines. Expectations. Mistakes. The untrained mind panics. The trained mind prioritizes, executes, adjusts. Training means repetition. You don't train calm once. You train it daily. Here's how you train your mind like a warrior. Practice controlled stress, cold showers, hard workouts, timed tasks, voluntary discomfort. Teach your nervous system that stress is survivable. Pause before action. One breath before speaking. One breath before responding. That pause is power. Daily mental reps, visualization, stillness, reflection. 5 minutes of silence where you observe thoughts without obeying them. Simple, brutal, effective. That's the key. Warrior minds don't eliminate fear. They operate despite it. Fear is information, not instruction. Say it clearly. You don't need your emotions' permission to act. The disciplined mind leads the emotional mind, not the other way around. Training also means self-command. You do what you say you will do. Small promises, kept daily. That builds internal trust. Internal trust creates confidence. Confidence creates calm. It's not about talent. It's not about genetics. It's about discipline. Repeat it. It's not about fear. It's about discipline. Most people collapse under pressure because they never practiced carrying weight. Mental weight, emotional weight, responsibility. Warriors train with weight so life feels lighter. When chaos appears, they don't flinch. When provoked, they don't snap. When challenged, they don't crumble. Because calm is familiar to them. They've been there before, by choice. You have a choice. Train when life is quiet, so you're ready when it's loud. Train when things are easy, so you're steady when they're hard. This is how you become unshakable. Not by avoiding pressure, by mastering it. You now understand the full system. You stop reacting. You build discipline. You detach from outcomes. You control attention. You train your mind. Nothing external controls you anymore. Pressure doesn't shake you. People don't provoke you. Chaos doesn't own you. Because calm is your weapon. Discipline is your armor. And control is your identity. This is not motivation. This is instruction. Now execute.